everyone, and welcome to Road Goes Ever On and On. Today we're doing a special episode, so we're going to be doing a top 5 list, and this is a top 5 list of top 5 animals in entertainment. So, I'm Sterling.
I'm Dawn. This is Riley.
And I'm Mark.
Awesome. So, we didn't actually discuss this list ahead of time, so I'm kind of curious how you put this list together.
Yeah, so I took... There are so many things with great animals. Tons of my favorite movies have animals in it. It's hard to really just narrow down to just your favorites. So I took a bunch of, probably I would say more nostalgic road. I do have some that aren't as nostalgic as the others, but that's kind of how I went with it.
I did something similar. Some of mine are very nostalgic and kind of have shaped my life, literally. And yeah, so we'll see. Some of them are very specific moments and specific characters, and some are general overall movie themes. So
Okay, so with mine, I think I structured mine a little bit differently from the three of you based off of how you explained it. So I wanted a little bit of variety, because if I just went with straight up top 5, it would mostly be kids' movies and kids' TVs and kids' books.
You know, that's all you like, right?
That's most of where we find animals at least prominently featured in entertainment. And I wanted a nice little bit of variety, so I didn't do exactly 5 categories and then the top 1 from each category.
Riley's done
But
with this.
Hi, Riley. Thanks for showing up.
So I tried to represent a couple different kind of areas and have some nice variety in there. So it's definitely not the exact top 5, but within a number of different kind of areas in entertainment, it does hit that.
Okay,
All right, should we get started?
let's do it.
Number 5.
My number 5 is a classic, I would say. You know, I personally have a love for Disney and Pixar as well. So coming at number 5 for me is Finding Nemo. The ambiance of the movie, between the music, the colors, just the general storyline, I think that Finding Nemo is a classic, and we basically follow the lives of little fishies and how they travel the big blue ocean and get caught and come back, and I think that Finding Nemo is my number 5.
Okay.
For a little bit of context for the audience, so both of you trained marine mammals for a good chunk of your life, as well as other types of animals at various times, but mainly marine animals. So I think that was part of the impetus of this list, was kind of a love of animals.
Right.
But honestly, I wouldn't have put that on my list, but thinking of that as a marine animal film, I can see how that will have a little bit more weight.
Oh yeah, I love scuba diving. I dove the Great Barrier Reef where it's technically located, and it is one of my passions. So yeah, that is why Finding Nemo made it on my list.
All right.
Dawn, number 5?
My number 5 is actually not a movie. It's more pop culture-y, and I think it was something. It's Grumpy Cat.
Grumpy Cat!
It's Grumpy Cat.
Rest in peace, Grumpy Cat. You're in a better place now.
R.I.P. Grumpy Cat. Because
That's great.
That cat
We all want
united a
Grumpy
nation.
Cat in our
Everyone wants a
lives.
Grumpy Cat. Yeah.
He was a
And,
sensation.
You know, he never smiled, but he made everybody happy.
He made
He
everyone
really-
else smile.
He made everybody
Yes,
smile.
yes. He was a internet culture phenomenon.
Yeah, and I feel like he's one of the first ones to kind of.
Yeah.
There have been a couple others recently since Grumpy Cat, but I feel like Grumpy Cat was the first social media mania pet.
Right, where it's not, this crafted persona where,
Right.
it's been, the story has been created and this animal's been perfectly trained to portray this. We're
Right.
that
was just his vibe.
yes, that is
Didn't
this
do anything.
cat, and it's just great. You really feel like you know his personality
Yes.
and love him,
Yeah.
not like somebody created that.
So
Rest to Grumpy Cat.
to Grumpy
Yeah,
Cat.
That's good. oh, mine's not going to look good after this because like the nerd in me comes out at this
Oh
point.
no! Oh
We
god!
haven't even started and it comes out.
Well, so that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to do was to, I think one of the interesting things about having animals in entertainment is also having animal education and learning about it, because when you learn about animals, it is easier for you to love them and want to do conservation. So for me, I think information is interesting because, just having shows about like dogs and cats doesn't help the greater animal population.
Okay.
Okay.
So for me, I put Planet Earth on this. And it honestly isn't my top 5.
Nerd.
Nerd!
Okay, so I actually would have gone geekier than this. So there's a book called Darwin's Ghost, which basically retells the origin of species in a more modern aspect. I know that's why I couldn't put it on the list, because other people wouldn't
But
have
yet you're still
appreciated
talking about it.
So I went with something
So you
that
snuck that in
I
there?
didn't see that.
I went with something that all audiences could kind of enjoy, and that's why I chose Planet
Alright.
Earth.
That's fair.
I will also agree though. Planet Earth is masterfully done. The shots in it are gorgeous. David Attenborough, of course, does a phenomenal job narrating it. So it's great. It's fantastic.
Still a nerd.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Alright.
There's no-
I wear my heart on my sleeve. All right.
Let's go.
Number 4.
Number 4. My number 4 one is another trip down Nostalgia Town. Nostalgia Road? Yeah. Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. Such a great movie. And one thing that I feel like Homeward Bound did right versus a lot of other movies, when they try to make the animals' mouths move or their eyebrows move and like they're trying to give them human emotions while they're talking, like it doesn't translate well in my opinion, with the CGI. Homeward Bound, there's none of that. They're all talking to each other, but it's through this, like they're just the animals. They're not moving their mouths, they're not moving their eyebrows, and it's just such a heartwarming tale of like your pet's getting lost and then coming back to you. That's such a good one.
So it initially was on my list, and here's why it didn't make the top 5. This is a little bit of a sad story, but we recently, earlier this year, our cat got lost, and in Homeward Bound, they come home, and on their own, like they just travel home, and we did find our cat, but he did not come home to us. We did find him. And
There were a few highways in between. There was no way that,
Yeah.
that he was
Right.
going to be able to. And I actually had a very dumb moment where the camera on the door caught something and it was like a cat, and I literally thought to myself, like, our cat has homeward bounded himself
Yes.
back to us. And then it was something else, like
Yes.
a trash bag blowing
So-
in the wind or something.
Oh, no.
And I was like, how could I be so dumb?
I mean, I feel like it's not dumb. It's like that. It's that hopefulness. You're like, it happened. He made it. He
Right.
did it. And you're
Right.
like, he beat all the odds. This is what they make the movies about.
Right.
I was gonna say, like,
Yeah.
and you hear stories
Yeah,
where it's
oh,
like,
yeah, you do.
people moved, states away, and then
Yeah.
a few months later, their pet shows up at their door, and so you hear it, and you want to believe it, and you're like,
Right.
this could happen to me. But he actually just hid in the same spot for 3 weeks, so, we did find
do
him.
back, yes.
But, that's why Homeward Bound got nixed from my list, because
That's
of the hopefulness that has been dashed now
It
in
was
my...
a little too personal.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
but
fair.
it is a really great movie. So my number 4 is actually Pan from His Dark Materials, and
Have you seen that?
I have not seen his
Oh.
Dark Materials. I saw the Golden Compass movie that came out a
Okay.
long time ago.
I
okay,
don't like that, but they just didn't pick it up for like a second and a third.
Yeah.
yeah. So we watched the TV series, and it was really good, really good. But Pan is a demon of Lyra's main character, and demons are kind of like.
They're a part of us. They're
Yeah.
like another part of you. They're kind of like an extension of you.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that they showed some different personality traits, but still being like complementary.
Right. They're kind of like your emotions or your just yeah. Oh, you described it well, but
Almost like a Patronus. In
kind
a
of
way.
Actually, that's a really good
But
analogy.
but it's always there.
Right.
And yeah, like you have to, like, it's always with you. It's your constant companion. It's like her best friend. It's like having that with you all the time. And she's young, and so as children, they change shape kind of depending on what the child needs in the moment. So it's like when the child's in danger, it can become a bird, or to see like what's going on, or if it needs to like be so that the animals
Right.
kind of change with whatever the kids need to take care of them, because they're like an extension of them. But so this is Lyra's best friend, and then towards the end of the series, they run into some challenges where it challenges their relationship and like what it means to be a demon of somebody, and so without giving it away, it's a really good. I can look through the TV show. I actually didn't see the movies, but it was really good, and I really appreciated the relationship between Lyra and Pan, and it's what I want with my pets. I want them to feel like they're part of.
Did you guys read the books?
We did not.
Did not. I read some of the Golden Compass, but I
Gotcha,
never
okay.
finished it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they deal with some surprisingly adult topics, so it's something that you don't have to be a kid to watch, and very good production, so it was definitely enjoyable.
Yeah.
So, okay, I can see that we've got very different lists. I'm going back to something a little bit on the geeky side because I wanted to, once again, hit some different kind of ideas, so I decided to go to a game in this case. And there's a game you're probably thinking of, which is not what I decided to do, because in the end, even though it's named after a type of cat, it still didn't feel cat-like enough. So I wanted to do something that really captured animals a little bit more. And so this game has some adventuring to it. You follow a group of 5 or 6 animals you play 4 at a time. It's co-op, so you're playing as a group, working together as a team. The game is called Mice and Mystics, and it's got a really cool story to it. So it's co-op. You're following this group of people. There's a kingdom, and the king is ailing. A witch comes in and kind of woos him, and it seems like she's trying to take advantage of this. The king's son steps in, but the queen locks him up, and the people that are trying to help the king. And the only way that they can get out, there's a wizard in there with him. The only way that they can escape is through the sewers if he changes them into animals. So all of you are changed into cute little mice with all these cute little miniatures, and the bad guys follow you into the sewers, and so they take on the forms of like rats and spiders and roaches. Every time you play it, you play a different chapter, so that like the story advances. As you're doing it, you get to know these characters that you're playing. It's a really cute story, but also fun, but also adventuring, but tough. And each chapter is different, and it has like different challenges and different like win conditions. So it's different every time.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, I went a little nerdy on this one too.
Finally.
Yeah, I didn't want you to be alone anymore. I
Great.
felt like you were too nerdy. Mine is not a board game though, but a video game.
Okay.
And to be specific, an arcade.
Earthworm Jim.
What?
Worms are not animals. Everybody knows that. I'm just.
You believed it.
I know he did.
I was going through like the
Yeah, he was
different
like, wait a minute.
phylums, and it's like
Worms.
It's like they're not.
Sorry.
Okay.
Mine's specifically an arcade game. And I actually haven't played this game in a long time, but it was always at Chuck E. Cheese, one of my favorite games of all time to play. It's called Jambo Safari.
I was going to say whack-a-mole,
What?
and I was like, that's terrible.
No. Jambo Safari.
Top 5.
Yeah.
I haven't. No, that's my issue. I haven't even heard of it.
I haven't heard of it.
I know. This game is like a special game in my heart. Whenever I see this game, I have to play it. I have to beat it because you play like 4 rounds and then you get to a 5th round, which is the Saber-Tooth Tiger. But basically, the premise of the game
Spoiler
is...
alert.
Well, it's not...
Spoiler alert! If you can still find
Whatever this
It's
is.
not a rich
Chuck E.
game and
Cheese.
story.
Chuck E. Cheese.
There's not a story to this game. But you are these, you can choose your character, you get a car, you go out into the African plains, and you basically are driving this car, and you're rescuing animals for your sanctuary.
Okay.
And so you have to, like, get behind them, and you have to, like, fire a net.
I don't think that's rescuing.
It doesn't seem like that now, and actually I kind of feel bad about it playing it nowadays, but it's just such a fun game because you want to have an animal sanctuary, you want to catch all these animals, and you're driving behind them, you like have to reel them in to like get them close.
That's not-
This is still your number 3?
It's like the movie Atari with John Wayne, you know, where they catch all the animals.
Okay.
It's a great game.
All right. You know what? It's his list.
It's
Who are we to judge?
It's so
You're a terrible person.
There's also a saber-tooth tiger in it, which isn't even real
Okay.
anymore.
Okay. Well, to top that, my next one is actually, it's a little dark, but it does go to a very important topic that I don't think is actually talked about a lot when people think of animals in the entertainment industry. And my number 3 is actually Gordy from the movie Nope. Did you see the Nope?
Yes.
And I chose that because that is an animal in entertainment that people don't respect. These animals that are in entertainment or in any type of work, like Sterling said earlier,
Right.
we worked with marine mammals, and at the end of the day, these animals are still animals, and they have animal instincts, even if they're in zoos, aquariums, whatever.
Right.
Animal
Think about
industry.
the 2 magicians that literally lived with their
Yes.
their tiger. Like they left the
Siegfried
door.
and Roy?
Yeah, they left the doors open for like
Yeah.
the tigers to just like walk into their house and like
Yeah.
hang out with them,
And
and
yeah. So
things can happen.
yeah, and so in the movie Nope, this animal that is used on a TV set, something spooks him. So it's not like he's something like no one hurts him. He's spooked and
Right.
he reacts.
Yeah.
And you know, these are animals. They have different instincts than us. They, you know, react differently. And
And it's like as the audience escalates, so does Gordy. And it just
Right.
gets like
right, and
it's like a negative feedback loop of
Right.
of terror.
And so, while it didn't end well, but I think it's a very important lesson that was kind of thrown in there, and it echoes a little bit more throughout the movie with the horses. But I think that that's a very important lesson that people don't think about when they think of these animals in the industry, and that is something that, having been an animal professional, that's something you have to respect.
Right.
These are still animals. These
Yeah.
still have wild instincts. You need to understand their behavior so that you can interpret it and keep yourself safe and keep the animal safe. And so that's why it's my number 3.
Which is interesting because the movie's kind of an allegory for how the entertainment industry just chews up and spits out and uses what like the people,
Right.
but it uses animals to show that, which I think we can feel for them a little bit more.
Right.
And it's
Yeah, and one of the most terrifying scenes in that whole movie is when he goes, you know, spoiler alert, towards the kid
Right.
that's under
Yeah.
the table, and he goes for the fist
Right.
bump, but he's just
Right.
like massacred
Oh.
everyone, and it's
Right.
like this kid's about to get ripped up because he's
Right.
already just had this terrifying thing, and
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
But it's a fantastic movie. I think it's a
Really
great
good.
movie, and I think that is a very important
like an
lesson
important, yeah.
that is needed to be shared with animals in the industry.
That's a good one.
So
Okay, so this one is something that I think that both of you would probably agree with, although I'm going to go a slightly nerdier direction. Big surprise. So
Shocked.
this one is the Jungle Book. But
Which one?
the book.
Oh,
The Jungle Book. The
The
book.
book. Okay,
The
gotcha.
Jungle Book, the book.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because the Jungle Book, the book, is actually a collection of short stories and poems. And I think that people generally think of the Jungle Book as, you know, like the story of Mowgli and kind of the stuff adjacent to him. But there's also Rikki Tikki Tavi that a lot of people
Yeah.
are familiar with. There's the White Whale, the White... I don't know. There's some other kind of
Right.
stories related to it that have been, you know, like other short movies or cartoons or things along those lines. And it's interesting. This took the place of something else that will probably be on somebody's list, and so that will probably be somewhat controversial. But I like the fact that this told a number of different stories and dealt with some, you know, kind of more exotic animals and more exotic locales. And once again, kind of like Planet Earth, it brings caring back to everything and not just necessarily kind of the popular things.
okay.
So I thought it had nice perspective, and I thought that, like, if you have enjoyed the movies, the book is actually really good. And there's also a sequel to it. There's The Jungle Book 2. which is another really good book.
Mowgli Saves the Day. Jungle Book
That's-
2, Mowgli Saves the Day with Baloo. Right?
That's-
That's the one?
Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Baloo.
Balooaloo. That's my number 3.
I don't think that's too nerdy. I think the Jungle Book's a great book.
But it was like to put my foot on like not the movies.
Not the
Not
movies. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't actually read the book. I've only seen the movies.
Yeah, I haven't
So-
read the book either, actually. I think I've
have you at least seen Ricky Tikki Tavi?
I have seen Ricky
I think I
Tikki
have
Tavi.
seen Ricky Tikki. I think you made me watch Ricky Tikki Tavi. So
The cartoon? The old cartoon one? Yeah, I watched that one. That
Yeah.
was, I love that one. It was
Yeah.
like classic. All right, number 4? 2. Sorry.
2.
Sorry, number 2. Math is hard for me, guys. Everybody knows that. My number 2 is a adult animated dramedy that
Okay.
has a weird interpretation of animals, and it is called BoJack Horseman.
Oh wow!
BoJack Horseman.
And yet you know a bunch of people on the cast because it's had a lot of people over time.
It's stars Will Arnett. It's got Alison Brie. It has tons of other celebrities that come in and voice.
Okay.
The reason I like it so much, so BoJack overall, great story. Like, he is kind of not a great guy. He's kind of a piece of shit, and his life reflects that about him.
Okay.
And the way that they use animals in this, like, people are just like humanoid animals, but they use those to make like subtle jokes in the background. Like, there's a whole underwater world where like all these fish people or dolphin people or walrus people live that like the dry people can go visit if they put on a little space helmet.
Okay.
And you'll just see like little jokes in the background, like sea monkeys will go by
Okay.
or something like that. And they use the humor of the animals to like have a good joke,
Mhm.
but they don't rely on it. They don't. It's not forced. It's like it's just good comedy with animals,
Okay.
and it's a great story overall.
Okay. Might have to add it to our list. I never even heard of it. So.
I've seen a little bit. I've heard a lot of good about it.
Okay.
It is really good. Highly recommend.
Okay. Okay. My number 2 is getting more into the nostalgic movies, and this is a very old movie that actually is kind of inaccurate, but it's Andre. Did you ever see Andre?
Andre, so good.
So that is the story. Takes place up in New England of a girl. Her dad works on the docks, and they rescue a seal. He brings it home. It needs milking to nurse. He creates a fake mom with a bottle, and they essentially kind of rescue this seal, and it's the story of the girl's bond with the seal, and then it is eventually released back into the wild. The inaccuracy is actually at the very end of the movie they show real footage of it, and in the movie they use a California sea lion, and so it does a lot more fun behaviors. It does, the dancing and the
Right.
waving and things that seals can't actually do.
That's what's up.
Wait, so the real story is a seal and not a sea lion?
Correct.
Oh, I've only.
But
I,
they-
have,
thought it
I
was a
own the
sea lion.
DVD. I'll show
They,
it to you.
they aren't as fun like. To,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
binge
there's
with,
little like sausages. It's like,
We own the DVD. I'll show it to you. But,
I actually saw it under there.
Yeah, but I watched that movie on repeat as a child.
a good one.
And when I was younger, I didn't really know the difference of the California sea lion and the seals. Like, we're from from the East Coast. We didn't have California sea lions, so whatever. They all kind of
Right.
look the same. But as an adult, now that I know the difference, it is kind of sad because it is such a cute sea lion.
It is
And
so
if it
cute.
did all those behaviors, it does like the whole you look behind it looks behind you.
Yeah.
The whole skit. But anyways, that's my number 2, and it really did shape. I love animals, and marine mammals was kind of it, and so that movie was
That's a good one.
really up there.
That
for
is a
me.
good one.
Yeah.
So this one is going to be my nostalgic one. This has a very special place in my heart.
This isn't your number 1.
K9 Doctor Who.
So, what do you think?
I think it's the book you're named after.
It's the book I'm named after. That's a good guess, though.
It's about a
So-
raccoon, a boy who has a pet raccoon.
Yes. So
Oh.
the book Rascal is by the author Sterling North. I was named after Sterling North, and the book was released in the 60s. It takes place in Wisconsin. It is his true story about growing up in Wisconsin during an interesting time. He has kind of an aloof dad. He's struggling with the loss of his mom, and he finds this baby raccoon, and it helps him to get back into society, because this is a very curious creature, and so as it is interacting with things and people, it's forcing him to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
It is an amazing story that has, funny points, that has very poignant points, it has a little bit of everything. It's a great story. It was made into a movie a long time ago. It was made into an anime a long time ago that was so big that raccoons got introduced to Japan, which isn't necessarily great, because they were so
I
loved.
actually heard about these raccoons in Japan
Yes,
that have
Didn't
become
know.
and it's from
an invasive species now.
yes.
He did it. So who's named after?
Wow!
Yeah,
So
like that?
you ruined
Japan.
Japan's ecology. Way to go.
But it's great, and it comes from such an interesting time. So I love it. It's older, but I still feel it stands the test of time.
Okay, I thought that was gonna be your number one, so now I am curious to see what your number one is.
That's-
I mean, unless I can't read. I thought there was going to be more crossover. Like I had something that was on my list that I expected to hear it at this point on somebody's list. It still could come.
Same.
I'm surprised that there hasn't been crossover. Okay, so we're going to take a little break from the top 5,
Top 5.
Okay.
and we're actually going to go into a stinker instead of a top 5.
Okay.
Correct. So my stinker for animals in entertainment.
Well, I want to make one thing clear before any opinions happen. My stinker is the entertainment, not the animal.
It's not your turn.
I just want to I'm not saying anything bad. Like all dogs go to heaven. Nothing. Like
Don't
I'm not
say
saying,
all dogs go to heaven.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
it's not your
anything
turn.
bad about an animal.
When it's your turn, you
It's
can
the
say
humans
it.
that made it.
Okay.
Same.
And I just want to make that clear.
Mine
Yeah,
are very
also-
much about the animals.
Yes.
So I want to make that very clear that mine are very much about the animals. So
I almost wonder if ours is the same for the
No,
stinker.
there can't be.
Okay, maybe it can't be. Mine is a movie
No.
that's fine. That was adapted from a Broadway musical.
oh, I hate you.
Cats, 2019, 20,
Oh.
whatever.
To be fair, I actually didn't see it. I haven't seen Cats, any part of Cats, so
So, the Broadway musical, it is weird, it's a strange one, and it shouldn't work, but it does work. There's a bunch of I'm Villain songs, I Am Rum Tum Tugger, I'm the Gumby Cats, a lot of villain songs.
Yeah.
There's only one I Want song, which makes a musical good, like The Little Mermaid wants to be part of the world, Aladdin wants to be not a street rat, they have these I Want songs.
Okay.
And so the I Want song of Cats is Memory. And so, she
Okay.
just wants to be touched, she wants to be part of the Jellicle Cats, she wants to be accepted by this group. Well, in the movie Cats, there's the main one that's played by that one girl, I can't remember her name, that she's supposed to play the cat that sings Memory.
okay.
But in the Broadway musical, the cat, Jezebella, she is ignored by the cats. All the cats are touching each other, they're all accepting each other. She's shunned. In this one, it's like she shuns all the other cats. Like she's better than all the other cats.
Okay.
And it ruins the whole song of Memory and makes the movie suck.
I think the CGI makes it suck.
Well,
I
that's
think
it.
It's uncanny valley. It's a little too close to reality, but too off enough that it just
There's
seems
a lot
wrong.
of things wrong with this movie.
It had a pretty good. Didn't it have a good cast?
Yeah,
Yeah, it had a great
James
cast.
Judi Dench,
It
it had good names. Like
The
Taylor
guy that
Swift
did
in
Les
it?
Mis. The guy that
Yeah.
did the movie Les
Is
Mis.
Taylor Swift and Rebel
Yeah.
Wilson in there or something?
Ian McKellen,
Yeah.
Rebel Wilson,
Yeah.
Judi Dench,
Yeah.
it's the
Idris
CGI.
Elba.
It's remember when the Sonic movie poster or trailer came out
Oh, with the teeth.
and it had the photorealistic teeth, and it just instantly it just seemed so wrong that it just makes like the hair on the back of your neck stand, and you can't move
Ugh.
past that. And that's what happened with this, where it's like, it's a Broadway musical. It's not a movie, and I think some of the, like you said, that it's a weird kind of musical.
Right.
That works on the stage.
Right.
I don't think that works on the camera. And then to add to that, to try and say, like, instead of having it be clear that they're wearing costumes, what if we give them, like, photorealistic... Like, what if we give these humans photorealistic fur all over?
I'm waiting for the butthole edition. I want the butthole edition to come out with the cats with the buttholes.
It's bad.
Okay.
What's your stinger? So you're saying, like, it's a bad animal.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a hot take.
This is a hot take.
Is
Don't at me.
Yeah, or me.
That's...
This is about the animal. And to be fair, the animal didn't do anything wrong other than exist. But
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so
Is it a seagull?
no. Although we'll get to that later.
Whoa.
We saw a seagull fight yesterday and it was random. Anyways, no, my stinker is not what you think. The movie is called The Amazing Panda Adventure. But it's not about the panda.
Okay.
It's about the leeches in the pond that they go into in China.
That's the one with the VHX box cart has him on a giant bridge running?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's an older movie, like it's around
Yes.
the time of Andre?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. And they go into a lake, and she comes up, and there's just leeches all over her, and she's like, "What?" Or like it's like pulling them off, and they're just covered. I cannot stand things that bury inside of you.
I've had this
Leeches
happen in
and
Minnesota.
ticks. Well, let's
We've
tell the
stepped
story about
into-
we're in Minnesota recently, and his sister says, "Dawn, do you want to go swimming in some of the lakes in Minnesota?" And I'm like, "Why? Like, you're clearly setting me up for something. So what's wrong with the lakes in Minnesota?" She's like, "Oh, there's leeches in Minnesota." Like, absolutely not. I will never set a
Oh my
foot
God.
in the lake. And then he tells me this is what they like did as a child. It's like,
Yeah. And like I came out and there were just like leeches, and in between my toes there was like 7 baby leeches that were like in there. Yeah, it was
Do they hurt?
no, they don't hurt.
well,
And at least unlike mosquitoes, it's not like you itch afterwards. Like and not that I looked forward to it, but it's I
anyways,
don't know.
so
It was gross. It was
It's-
very gross.
it's not bad
Okay.
acting. It's just straight up personal about
You
leeches.
just hate leeches,
I just
and that
hate
is
leeches.
justified. I
And
feel
so
like.
I mean, I couldn't pick an animal movie that I didn't love. Obviously, I love them
Right.
all, but leeches are
So what you're saying is you love cats.
and not leeches.
You love Cats the
Maybe.
musical over leeches.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes, I will watch it on repeat rather than put my foot in the Minnesota lake where there are leeches.
Okay, I can see that.
What would you do?
I'm going for the leeches.
Oh, that's gross.
Oh, no.
All right,
No,
well,
you're wrong. Have you had a leech?
No.
Okay, then you can't.
I know. That's why I asked if they hurt. I was like,
Okay, so here's my stinker. So my stinker is, they say don't judge a book by its cover. So like don't judge anything by its cover, whatever. I think this is something that's what they wanted, was for it to be judged by its cover.
Two
And
brothers.
it had bad Photoshop on it. And I feel like it was known for the cover, and I feel like the cover was like the book version of clickbait. Like they just want you to get it based off of that.
Okay,
And
I'm clicking.
you
What
look-
is it?
Animorphs.
Animorphs.
Do you remember the series
Yes,
of books?
Yes, and
So-
their books.
Don't.
Okay.
I know their book
Well,
covers
we
are
have
terrible.
to pull up a picture later, but they each one of them, the cover has a picture of a person transforming into an animal, and it's done via bad Photoshop. It also was a bad TV show at one point, but the reason I say it's kind of clickbaity is like every single book cover, and there was like 40 of them or something ridiculous.
There's a lot.
Every single one of them had this kind of cover of a human badly turning into an animal But then also, there's no way that animal that they turned into was always the central plot. They're just showing something dumb that maybe happened like one scene just to get you to like click or purchase in this case.
Right.
So like one of them, the cover, it turns into a starfish.
Sea Star.
Sea Star. It's... Are you really? But no, like, that's what the book is about. It turned, like, what's that gonna do?
What is the point
Or
of turning
there's-
into a sea star?
Or there's like,
It's true.
it turns into like a lizard, and it's like, come on, you're just trying to pique my interest and make me purchase it, and then I find out it's this bad books. I've actually never read them. They could be amazing, but I think they're bad.
I don't feel like you're selling the transformation enough. Like, he is not telling you how bad this is. You see the person as a person,
Okay.
then you see the
It's like
animal as
5
the animal.
Are these
transitions.
like
Shot.
comic books?
No,
No.
they're like reading.
It's a-
they're like
It's a regular
young
book.
adult books.
Is it a story?
They have like it's like okay, like in my mind it was like around the time
Okay,
of
so
Wishbone.
here's the situation.
like
There's-
like collections of stories that these kids go on that change into animals.
Okay, so here's the
Okay.
situation. An alien race has gotten to the Earth, and it turns out that they can mimic humans, so they can look like absolutely anything, and they're going to take over the Earth. And the only people that can save them are these 5-ish children who are given the power to be able to change into animals.
Art.
So they,
Water.
so they have the ability to change into animals, and they are fighting this group of aliens that literally could be anybody could be an alien, because the aliens can look like anybody.
Got it.
So Animorphs, that is my stinker.
Okay.
That's fair.
Were you about to say I'll allow it?
I'll allow
it.
We'll watch it. I must look for it. Okay, number 1.
Number 1. All right. My number 1 comes from a movie. It is a very well done movie. It comes out of Tollywood. It is called RRR. I have told Sterling about
I don't know
RRR, so you guys are going to have to watch RRR because it is.
Okay.
It's a very.
I think it's pronounced.
I can't do that. Whatever it is.
RR.
So the reason I chose RRR, there are 2 main characters that are of
There are 2
Indian history and one is very attuned to nature. And his introductory scene is amazing. His name is Beam. He is introduced by being half naked in the jungle and pouring blood all over himself.
I was into the first part, but
Yeah.
I think she's still into it.
I know she is. She likes it. And he's basically
Why we call that a Tuesday.
Oh,
Am
boy.
I giving away too much?
don't touch me.
Yeah, he's introduced. He's pouring blood on himself, very stylistic way when he's introduced, and he is trying to catch a wolf,
See,
essentially.
there's a reason.
However, he attracts a tiger, and it involves a great scene of his introductory with this tiger that is important to the story overall, which I won't give you guys, but very cool how it's done, very cool how it's shot. I highly recommend RRR if you have not watched it yet. It is a great film. It is fun. It is fantastic, and that is why it is my number 1 for animal movie.
Okay. My number 1 is the quintessential nostalgic movie for people who were in my industry as a marine mammal trainer,
Free Willy.
and that is Flipper. That the TV show. I had stuffed animals. They were all named. All the dolphins were named Flipper. I mean,
This is Flipper 1. This is Flipper 1.
You know, and actually, fun fact: when I went to Dolphin Research Center when I was in college, they had one of the dolphins, because multiple dolphins played Flipper, and they had one of the dolphins that played Flipper.
Was
So-
it Flipper from the TV show, or was it they did make a Flipper movie in the 90s?
I think she's from the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, because she wouldn't be that old, but yeah, so she was from the movie. But I just thought that was interesting, and that, I mean, looking back now, obviously, maybe not not the quality we're going for, but in terms of nostalgia, that is it. That movie, that TV show shaped my life, my career path, You know, what do you have to say?
Flipper, Flipper, faster than lightning.
No one you see.
I love Flipper. Who
It was-
doesn't love Flipper?
I know. I mean,
Flipper's
it was
great.
like Lassie was on
I
my
get-
list, but like
Flipper's
Flipper,
the water Lassie.
I know.
What's that, Flipper? Somebody's in the well?
Exactly.
I get the nostalgia end. I feel like that's something that doesn't necessarily stand the test.
That's what I said.
of time.
I said that it's
It's
not
mu-
something
yep.
that we would go watch today, but I honestly
It's
think
still-
that without that TV show,
You wouldn't be
Yeah.
here. My number one, I chose this one because I feel like this one really wears its heart on its sleeve as far as its love for animals. I feel like it really shows that in every single bit of it. And I think that you can enjoy it in a couple of different formats. It is something that's had extremely funny moments, it's had very sad moments. It's not just something that you have to be nostalgic about, so you can consume it as a book, you can consume it as an older TV show, and you can consume it as a newer TV show. So there are a number of different ways to enjoy it.
Free Willy.
And is that a book?
No, that's not. That was my last guess.
I'm surprised that you don't know what I'm talking about.
all creatures great and small.
All creatures great and
All
small.
creatures
All
great and
creatures.
small.
I've
Have you even heard
never.
of it?
I feel like I might have
That's a
heard
good
of
one.
it,
It's
That's a good one.
but I have not.
so this
seen
this
it.
one is so good. So
Dang.
it's based off of the author's life. He was a veterinarian in rural England at a really interesting period of time where they were mainly taking care of livestock, and that's something that takes a lot of time to like get to the livestock. And when you have a lot of livestock and it's not like the most profitable business, it's not like you can pay for crazy MRIs to help them out, so it's like you have to be wise with your money. So it's not necessarily the most profitable business, but there is a burgeoning aspect of veterinary practice that is starting to take off, and that has to do with pets. That's an area of discretionary money that people, they get very attached and they do want to
Yeah.
spend more and more. And so it's kind of an interesting place in time. The main character has such a deep love for all animals. It's got an interesting cast where there's another character that's basically, your like your comedic
Comic,
relief.
yeah.
There's another character that is very tough with like the tough love type of person, and sometimes takes that too far. And it's
It's
phenomenal.
really good. We just started watching the newest.
Third season.
Yeah, well, the third season
Oh.
of the newer series.
newer
There's an
series.
old
What's
series.
it on?
PBS?
I think.
We
Okay.
purchased the seasons
Okay,
and watched them
gotcha,
that way. I don't
gotcha.
think it streams on anything.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's really good. That's a good one. Yeah. All
And
right.
with that, I think that wraps it up for our top 5 animals in entertainment. Let us know in the comments what your top 5 animals in entertainment are. I'm Mark.
Dawn.
And I'm Sterling.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.